You ever wonder why some people just seem to get rich, while the rest of us feel like we're stuck on a hamster wheel, working harder and harder but never really getting anywhere? Well, for millions of people, the answer, or at least a new way of thinking, came from this one little book that basically turned everything they thought they knew about money on its head. Today, we're going to break down Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that's as beloved as it is controversial.
So, what are we getting into? First, we'll look at how this thing became such a massive phenomenon. Then, we'll unpack that core rich dad mindset. Of course, we have to talk about the controversial advice and the author's own finances. And finally, we'll try to figure out what its real legacy is today.
All right, to really get why Rich Dad, Poor Dad made such waves, you have to understand just how huge it became. This wasn't just some popular book, it was basically a cultural earthquake that completely changed how we talk about money. I mean, just look at this number. After starting as a self-published book back in 1997, it just exploded. We're talking an estimated 40 million copies sold all over the world. It was on the New York Times bestseller list for more than 6 years. That's not just a hit, that's a legend.
And, it wasn't just everyday folks picking it up. Big names were captivated, too. You had celebrities like Will Smith talking about how it taught him financial independence. And even Donald Trump was so impressed that he went on to co-author 2 books with Kiyosaki.
So what was the magic formula here? What got everyone so hooked? Well, it wasn't about budgeting or finding the best savings account. No, it was about a complete and total shift in how you think about work and money, a concept he calls the rich dad mindset.
This right here, this is the absolute heart of the whole philosophy. The book kicks off with a story about a 9-year-old Kiyosaki and his best friend, Mike, who decide they want to learn how to get rich. So Mike's dad, the rich dad, hires them for a job in one of his stores for a measly 10 cents an hour. And after weeks of feeling totally used and underpaid, they were about to quit. But that, right there, was the whole point. It was lesson number 1. And to drive this home, Kiyosaki sets up these 2 opposing father figures. His poor dad, who was actually his real dad, a very smart, highly educated man, always preached job security, play it safe. But rich dad explained that the terrible job wasn't about the 10 cents an hour, it was about learning not to let a paycheck be your boss. He taught that risk isn't something you run from, it's something you learn to manage. And this comparison just nails the difference, doesn't it? The poor dad mindset is all about becoming a great employee inside a system someone else built. The rich dad mindset, it's about owning that system. So instead of begging for a raise, the 2 boys took what they learned and started their very first business, a comic book library for other kids in the neighborhood. And that was their first real asset. And this cycle, this is what Kiyosaki famously calls the rat race. You know the drill. Get up, go to work, pay bills, repeat. He says it's all driven by 2 emotions, the fear of not having money, which keeps you stuck in your job, and greed or desire, which makes you spend any extra money you get. It's a trap, and it doesn't matter how big your paycheck is. You can still be stuck in it. So the big question is, how do you get out of the rat race? Well, according to Kiyosaki, it all boils down to one incredibly simple rule. And honestly, this is probably the most famous idea from the entire book. Kiyosaki's definition of an asset is just so simple, it's brilliant. Forget all the complicated accountant speak. It's all about cash flow. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket, month after month, without you having to work for it. And a liability, well, you can probably guess. It's anything that takes money out of your pocket. The entire strategy in the book is basically this: spend your life buying assets and get rid of your liabilities. Simple as that. Okay, so this leads us to the book's most controversial claim. Is your house an asset? Kiyosaki says no, it's not. And why? Because every single month, money flows out of your pocket for the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, the repairs. This one idea completely attacks the traditional American dream. So while these big picture ideas got millions of people excited, the actual specific advice on how to do all this, well, that's where things get really, really controversial. Yeah, and the critics have been brutal. Financial writer John T. Reed, a guy who went to West Point and Harvard Business School, did not hold back. He basically called it one of the dumbest financial advice books ever, saying it's full of mistakes and promotes some seriously dangerous ideas.
And he's not alone. Other experts like Ramit Sethi say the advice is just way too vague and risky. The book pushes things like speculative real estate deals, penny stocks, and even suggests joining multi-level marketing companies, MLMs, just to learn sales skills. For a lot of critics, this is not a safe or smart way to build wealth.
But the controversy doesn't stop with what's inside the book. Kiyosaki's own business history has come under a pretty intense microscope, and it's raised some big questions about whether the guru actually practices what he preaches.
So back in the day, a company called the Learning Annex was huge in making Kiyosaki a star. They promoted his seminars and really got his name out there. But things went south, and the Learning Annex ended up suing him, claiming they got cheated out of millions in profits. And the courts ended up siding with the Learning Annex. They hit one of Kiyosaki's main companies with a massive judgment of almost $24 million.
Well, faced with a bill that big, that company, Rich Global LLC, couldn't pay it. It only had a couple million in assets. So in 2012, it filed for corporate bankruptcy.
But here's the real kicker. While that company went bankrupt, Kiyosaki's personal wealth, which was estimated to be around $80 million at the time, was legally separate. It was completely protected. In a way, it was a masterclass in using corporate structures to protect your personal assets, which, ironically, is a key rich dad lesson.
Okay, so where does that leave us? You've got a book that's inspired a generation, but it's also been slammed for its risky advice and the author's own complicated business history. What are we really supposed to take away from Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Look, the legacy of this book is, well, it's complicated. There's no denying it was a powerful wake-up call. It genuinely lit a fire under millions of people to take control of their money. But on the other hand, the map it provides to get to wealth, it's got a lot of sketchy shortcuts and potential dead ends. And really, it all leaves us with this one fundamental question for anyone trying to build a better financial future. What's actually more important? Is it the powerful inspiration that gets you to start the journey in the first place? Or is it the solid, concrete plan that actually gets you to the destination safely?